You're a member of Parliament's Committee on
Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs.
Yeah.
You see, if we want
to we're coming to talk about agriculture
yes.
fully.
You see, yes, it's not as if, you see, if we throw our hands to the air as if nothing has been done in this country, that's the where I have the problem with.
Well, enough. But we're talking about enough.
I think we need to improve on our sanitary situations. Government need to come with a very concrete measures to solve the sanitary situation in this country. There's no doubt about that one, because if there's a problem, we are all part of the problem. So, yes, I'm looking at a situation whereby we will try to put up a special plan to ensure that we deal with these issues concretely. That's a fact. And I've been saying on several occasions that it is because successive governments have not put in measures to ensure that we concentrate on our production in this country. Production in the sense that, you see, when we say manufacturing, it is not just what we eat. Establishing a compost plant is the manufacturing sector. So we need to look at it, and stakeholders in that sector need to ensure that we invest in that sector. Because I have a difficulty. I can tell you that if you go to the various farming communities, even along my own hometown, if you are going to Kita and Angloga, they come as far as to what do you call it, central region, to come and get the compost from this cow dam. Travel a very long distance. So it means that expensive. Very expensive, because the cost of transportation is low. So if there are companies that are producing the compost, because
they need some assistance.
Because those areas, the soil, the nature of the soil is so bad.
They need some assistance in terms of what the ready market is.
Yes.
And you have
the nature of the soil is so bad, the soil is so porous that they can only survive based on fertilizers and compost.
Now, I have to borrow again a phrase from willingness, commitment, and policy direction from Jason.
Yes.
You know the problems, but it's not being solved.
Yes, I have a difficulty, especially in that area. I'm saying that government needs to take a holistic approach in solving some of the problem. That's a fact, because the problem is there. And I believe strongly that if you look at the measures put in place, if you look at the agriculture budget in this country, those are several measures, and government has opened a way for PPP programs. If you look, and most of the Turkish companies that are coming to this country are looking at alternative ways of looking at how to produce, how to install compost plants so that we can be able to. You know, I was part of the delegation that went to Turkey to look at the ways of bringing some of the investors to ensure that we get serious compost plant that can produce compost to boost agricultural production in this country. So I've seen several measures and programs to ensure that we bring in PPP program that can boost up.
And talking about agriculture, let's move directly now for the next 10 minutes and speak on agriculture. Because this year has been declared the International Year of Family Farming by the FAO. And we had the organizations, that's the FAO's country representative speaking to, is it the BNFT? And Dr. Lamodia Tiombiano has been saying the country is progressing in agriculture, but only slowly, not a very huge rise or steady rise. And he says that fertilizer application, for example, has doubled from 5 kilograms per hectare to 10, and says yields are also improving, etc. But we're still lacking issues of irrigation, subsidies, etc. Not full subsidies, but some inordinate subsidies, etc. Would you say over the last 2 decades, as a country, we have seen consistent improvement, or we've seen some improvement and some stagnation, and an improvement and some stagnation?
Yes, you see, the agriculture sector has been doing very well, especially in some areas. Because if you take the starchy crops, like cassava.
Those are normal staples.
No, I'm saying that today, cassava is now a commercial crop. Those days, who takes cassava? Cassava is being used to produce beer. Today, as we speak now. Those days, cassava is just for fufu and gari. But now it's a commercial crop. Yam is being exported. We're talking about decades. That's what I'm telling you. That, yes, in the starchy foods area, we've been doing tremendously well. But in some other areas, which we need to lift up. Because in the past, mango has not been an exportable crops. But now we are exporting mango. Do you understand me? So in some areas, we're doing very well. But in some other areas, there are some difficulties. We are food sufficient in the area of cereals. As we speak now, if you look at the database, we have a lot of cereals in the system.
Cereals in what category?
I'm talking about maize.
Rice is a cereal.
Yes, rice is a cereal.
But we import the chunk.
Yes, but I'm saying that if you watch the trend, because of the measures put in by the government, we have increased rice production by almost 60%. That's a very good result. A lot of measures, and if you watch the programs, like I'm talking about Northern Rural Program, the focus is on the rice field. If you watch Ghana Commercial Agriculture Project, the focus is on rice. You understand me? And even through the Ministry of Trade and the Ministry of Agriculture, a lot of money, I think about 10 million Ghana cedis has been dedicated for the rice production in this country. That's a serious effort from this government to ensure that we increase agricultural production in this country. Specifically, if you watch just from 2013 to 2014, in the first quarter of this year, agricultural production alone has increased by almost 14%. You understand me? So it's been up and down. It's been up and down because we are not focusing much on irrigation. And we need to increase irrigation infrastructure. If you're able to do that one perfectly, and I see the concentration in the Northern Rural Program, the focus is on irrigation. If you're able to go along that line, then we'll see some consistencies in growth.
I will not in no way try to duplicate Bright's attempts to show the government in good light for actually trying to improve the agricultural sector, but the statistics say otherwise. I remember quite well that in 2010, that was actually in October, there was a conference in Ghana at the Accra International Conference Center, and a compact was signed. It's called CADEP, the Comprehensive Africa Agricultural Development Program.
I remember the one.
Exactly. Good. And the president today, who was then the vice president, was actually the one who signed on behalf of Ghana. And these were the resolutions that every country will have to ensure that they commit 10% of their annual budgets to the agricultural sector. Secondly, they must ensure that they get at least a year-on-year growth of 6% in the agricultural sector. Ask me, what are the figures saying? Have we ever allocated 10% of the national budget to agri since CADEP? Have we achieved 6% holistic growth in the agricultural sector? No. So it means we sign the papers, pay lip service, and we don't commit ourselves to doing what we are supposed to do to achieve the results that we so seek and talk about. Only 7% of cultivable land in Ghana is irrigated. But we are talking about living in an age of mechanized agriculture. And as I speak to you right now, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture has placed a permanent moratorium on the employment of extension officers. If you check their records, you will see that. How could that be? If we actually want to develop agriculture, then we don't have to be doing it in a piecemeal approach. We have to actually be the way we are militant in breaking down homes. That is the way we have to attack the serious problems that face us.
That's sarcasm.
I mean, yes. We're talking about rice production. Ghana has not imported less than over 400,000 tons of rice year on year. That much foreign exchange.
Over the last 5 years? Yeah.
No.
Or is it the last decade? No, over the last 5 years.
Over the last 5 years, yes. You know, 400,000 tons and above. You know, last year I think it was around the region of 500 to 600,000 tons. That affects that foreign exchange, when invested in local agriculture, can earn us so much. But we keep paying lip service. We do a little here, we do a little here, and then we go praise singing for the next election. It is not the way to go. We have to face the facts. We are far behind. We are not performing. Government is not delivering. Yeah.
Now, Bright, how do we put all these in context? And we know that, of course, our time is up. But how do we put all these in context when we know that, according to what the variables are, agriculture, even though it's on a subsistence basis, is still the largest employer of people?
Exactly.
Yes, I think it's clear, as I told you.
You're an agriculturist,
yes,
so you have a lot more insight.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of interventions within the past 2-3 years, which is going into boost agriculture in this country.
In what magnitude?
No,
that
brother,
that will be
about,
effective.
if you look
Exactly.
at Ghana Commercial Agriculture Program, look at the amount of money that has been put in there. We're talking about 23 solid districts going direct into irrigation. We are putting up warehouses to ensure that communities that are agriculture based don't suffer from long transportation services. So, and as I speak right now, you see, just if you take it, those with the argument that government is not committing much resources in the agriculture sector, should also look at it from this way. See, it is not the budget alone, but there are a lot of project loans that go into the agriculture sector that are not considered in the scheme of the budget. So yes, if we need to calculate and look at it, I've always been an advocate that if you look at the amount of money that go into fertilizer subsidy in this country, in 2030 alone, 180,000 metric tons of fertilizer was subsidized in this country. If you calculate a tons, it's huge sums of money, and that contributes a lot of.
That's why we need to do local production.
A composition of
compost.
No, I'm talking about a huge composition of the agriculture sector revenue or budget, and that we need to divulge. So I'm saying that yes, if you look at all the projects in the area of agriculture, there's some significant improvement. Even the first quarter, we're talking about 14%. 14% growth rate in the agriculture sector cannot be a very bad thing. So if you sign a contract, that's 6%. And we are going.
Somebody say we're always satisfied with mediocre.
No,
so it's not bad. You keep saying, oh, something is not bad.
You're talking about 6%.
Comprehensively, annual growth of 14%. Where in Ghana? Not in our history. Not in our history. It has never happened.
That in the first quarter of this year,
annual history of Ghana, growth of agriculture.
Yes, I'm not saying that.
Holistic, not a particular sector.
I'm saying that efforts that are giving us results indicates that there's tremendous growth this year. That means that.
Jason, you agree with him?
A lot of steps.
Well, you know what? The agriculture sector is not limited to, let's say, growing maize.
Yeah.
So that if you've achieved. No, I'm making a point. So if you've achieved 14% in, let's say, maize cultivation or, let's say, tilapia farming, it doesn't say your agricultural sector holistically has grown by 14%. That's a fallacy and it's misleading.
Well, he's not said that. He's not giving
yes, but the fact I want to establish is we've not achieved our CADEP targets. We have failed. We signed on to that. We have not achieved it.
So that's been it. And Jason Osei is a member of the CPP's communication team, a young man, vibrant young man, always giving his co-panelists a lot of hard time to think about. And we hope to have you again sometime in the studio.
Sure.
Bright Demoji is a member of parliament for Botiano English Yamanfro.
You got it right.
They're currently on recess. He's also a member of parliament
Select Committee on Food, Agriculture and Cocoa Affairs.
That's all. It's a big man there. And that's where we end our discussion on AM Talk.